Good evening. 7 o'clock on the dot. Sitting over in my little corner outside the shop. Really just enjoying some of the temperature has gone down a bit. It's only 90 right now, so but in the shade it's actually not bad at all. Um, yeah, Julie and I were just talking. We just got done doing the animals, and as we were walking back down, we were talking about how the summer is starting off a lot like last summer. And last summer the last real rain we got was in about the first part of June, and then it didn't rain again until September. We had maybe one sprinkle in between there, but everything dried up. Trees died, um, gardens died, a lot of stuff just dried up. And it seems we're kind of leaning in that direction already. We haven't had any significant rain since late May, and there's nothing in the forecast, but there is a lot of 90-degree days in the forecast. So we'll just have to wait and see. You know, we it's a big chore watering everything and hand watering everything, but um, I don't know if we're gonna have a choice. It is what it is. What I've learned is that you know not really fight it and fuss about it because it's just so completely out of your control. So just adjust accordingly and move on. It's unfortunate because it makes for more work, and the end result isn't as good as if we had a rain every once in a while. It'd be great to have a one rainy day a week. I mean, that would be perfect for nice dousing, get everything all good and wet for a day, and then yeah, and things are growing very well. Um, the corn is knee high and then some. The kale is waist high. And tomato plants are waist high and growing. Um, we've had a ton of zucchini already. There's garlic and carrots, and then the herb garden as well. It's a long enough season here where you can grow April, May, and June, and if you choose to, you could grow a second crop starting in July, August, September. Um, uh, roughly, most things are run around 90 days or so, and maybe a little longer, but you'll do fine. In fact, that's what we're doing with the one corn. The first batch of corn we didn't have the right nutrients in the ground, and they never set in and had the deep green color of a nice healthy plant. They came out and they were very pale, and they grew only a few feet, about 2, 3 feet at most. And some of them started putting out ears of corn already. And so we knew it was a no-go. And she planted again. And we could plant again and still get the corn in before things can't grow. Ideally, you want the corn during the warm time, in the longer days. Right now, that would be ideal, but things aren't always ideal, as we know. So we had two different kinds of grapes. Tuscany, I think, was one. I don't really recall. Like, But in the spring they start off real nice and had uh, little bunches of grapes. And in the early part of June, the plants got attacked by those Japanese beetles, and it just decimated it, and there's no grapes at all. I think the stress they just died off. They couldn't put fruit out and be stressed as much as it was. So it was really unfortunate. They're doing really well. So I'll wait again. This fall I'll prune them, and next year we'll wait and see if we get grapes. Got to find a way to stop those Japanese beetles. If anybody has any soundproof ideas that sound solid, proven ideas, I guess that's what I'm looking to say. Let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely try it out. We had them in various places on the property, but I just remember how bad that the grapes got it. So I think I talked about the chickens. We have one of our original chickens left. Everything else got attacked and killed. Um, we haven't had eggs, maybe a rare one here and there, in probably about a month. Uh, so we're trying to rebuild our flock. Julia has a very generous friend who gave us 5 chickens, and they're pullets. They're good size, but they're not quite adult. So we're not getting eggs off them, but we will most likely by September, I would say. Um, and then we were just talking to her again the other day, and she said she has even more that she will be more than happy to share with us. So looks like we'll be able to have the flock built back up and get our egg production back up. There's nothing as good as a farm pasture raised chicken egg. Um, they're so the yolk is so rich and orange. Um, it it'll change the color of like cakes and things. Like Julia went to make like a white um, cake. I don't remember what it was. It was like a birthday confetti type cake or one of those mixes maybe. But the cake was typically white because the egg yolks were so orange. This thing had an orange hue to it, and it was hilarious. It does that a lot to things. Um, and the eggs are just absolutely phenomenal. So it'd be nice to get that production back up. And you know, I have to make an honest effort to try to find that animal that's doing the damage and try to get rid of it. We thought having the cat up there would keep a lot of that away, but if it's something like a fox or a raccoon, it's not going to be threatened by a cat at all. It would be annoyed and it would probably run off, but a fox probably could kill a cat and may even kill a cat. Um, so that's kind of one of the hurdles we're getting up and over. Um, I don't, did I say the goats? They're due at the end of July, just starting at the end of July, and 4, possibly all 5 of them are pregnant. So we should have a decent amount of babies running around here come the end of July, the first couple weeks of August. It's been a long time coming, and it was Julie and I's inexperience that led to some of the issues with the goats not getting pregnant. Um, not not recognizing some signs that were clear indicators that our previous attempts had failed if we just would have thought about, for example, the udders. We we had the two mishaps with there's a fly bugging me. We had the two mishaps with two different bucks, and at one point I was reading, that the udders will fill out as it gets closer to being due time, and I just never really, in my assessment, I wasn't taking into consideration what a full udder looks like. A full udder, when you're looking at the back of a goat, um, she'll have her legs a little bit spread apart to make room for it, and it takes up the majority of the behind area that's open, underneath her legs there. So it's super recognizable. I mean, it's like it goes from about a golf ball size little pouch under her belly to being about the size of um, a cannonball. Something smaller than a basketball, but still pretty big. Um, and it was something I just didn't take into consideration. And when I finally did, I'm like, duh, that's such an obvious thing that wasn't happening that I should have cued me up that they weren't in fact pregnant, that I was just having some wishful thinking. Um, so, uh, like I said, some of you may have heard of the story, but that's kind of how we went through three different breeding uh, goats before we got one that was successful. Um, we will most likely keep some of the best females and maybe a male if they're unique or something. And the male will probably go into rotation depending on how we do the genetics with the other breeds. Julia really does all that, but it'll be mated most likely to some of the other ones. Inbreeding, you obviously don't want it because typically what it leads to is a bad trait being magnified, because both the parent and um, the kid have similar genetics in that area, so it tends to make issues worse in that regard. And I think that's true when you're breeding. Say you bred a son to his mother, those offspring will have a good likelihood will have some sort of issue. Um, and I say this from experience. We have one. She's the product of her. She's the product of a son goat mating with his mother goat and having the kid. And one of her issues, besides being really small, is she's has joint issues. So if she's laying down, she gets up and she has very, very stiff joints, and she'll hobble and sometimes just completely lift the foot up off the ground. Um, but she's super sweet. She's one of the sweetest ones, and she's healthy seemingly in every other way. Um, so Yeah, it would be great to have some that we could sell out of the herd, some that we would keep and continue to grow the herd. And with some of the money, Julie and I were just talking about this today. We want to redo the fencing. We have T-posts with um, like the square mesh roll of fencing. It's actually a rectangle. I think they're like 2 by 4 little rectangles. It makes up the wire, and everyone's seen it. And that fencing material is okay, but it needs to be anchored against something really firm, so the goats can't stretch it and everything. And the T-posts just don't hold up to a goat. Goats are terribly persistent at sticking their heads up underneath a fence and wiggling and lifting the fence and wiggling, and they'll get out and they'll get through spaces that you just can't even fathom them getting through. Um, so we want to invest on a more rugged fence line, and then we also want to make it a bigger, where at the back of the current pasture that they're in, that they're that the barn's in. There's a gate at the back, and I'd like it to be that we fence in maybe an acre of that forest that's right there, and then we could connect it through that gate. Um, that way we could close it off if we wanted them close to the barn for or whatever, or we could lock them out in the wood part of the pasture. And it's options. And as the herd gets bigger, we want to have more room for them, so they can have some of their uh, vegetation recover after they come through. Say they come through when they tear up that forest plot really good. I could simply close the gate and keep them out of there for a month or two and let things, um, get reestablished and then turn them loose in there again. Same thing with the pen that they're in now. It would be great to put them out and keep them out of that pen for a week or two and let some of the stuff grow up and get some length. Um, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. That's where we've been thinking. Um, we've had many, many failures as of late, and it was taking a bit of effort to get my mind back into the positive uh, thought process, positive thinking. But I think I'm getting back in there, and we still got a lot of summer left, so I can correct a lot of these mistakes that we're going through, and things will be all right. But I think I've rambled on long enough. What time is it? Yeah, almost 19 minutes. So that is all for now. I will probably post again maybe tomorrow. I'll see what comes up. But thanks for watching, folks. Have a good evening.